I never imagined my life would become a battlefield of whispers and judgments. But that's exactly what happened the day I married Jordan Blackwell. Everyone in our tight-knit San Francisco community saw him as the ruthless tech mogul who crushed competitors without a second thought, a man whose boardroom decisions left families in ruins. Yet, as I stood at the altar, exchanging vows under the golden California sun, I knew the truth. Behind his steely exterior was a heart that beat only for kindness, especially toward me. Our story began 5 years earlier, in the bustling halls of Blackwell Innovations, where I worked as a junior software engineer. Jordan was the CEO, infamous for his no-nonsense approach. Rumors swirled about how he'd fired an entire department for missing a deadline, or how he'd outmaneuvered a rival startup, driving it to bankruptcy. Colleagues avoided eye contact with him in the elevators, and the media painted him as a modern-day corporate villain. I, Alex Rivera, was just another face in the crowd, fresh out of college with dreams of making a difference in AI ethics. One late night, buried in code, I didn't notice him enter the office until his shadow fell over my desk. "You're still here." His voice was deep, commanding but not harsh. I looked up, startled, and met eyes that weren't cold like the stories suggested. They were curious, almost warm. We talked for hours about algorithms and morality, and by dawn, I realized this monster had a vulnerability he hid from the world. He confessed his drive came from a childhood in foster care, where weakness meant survival. That night sparked something unspoken between us, a connection that grew in secret meetings and stolen glances. As our relationship deepened, the conflicts emerged like storm clouds. My family, conservative immigrants from Mexico now settled in Texas, struggled with my sexuality. When I came out at 22, my parents had wept, praying for my salvation. Introducing Jordan amplified the drama. They saw him not just as a man loving their son, but as the embodiment of American excess, a wealthy white executive who symbolized everything they distrusted. "He's too powerful, Alex," my mother warned over the phone. "Power corrupts. What if he hurts you?" My father was blunter. "Marriage between men? It's unnatural. And with him, he'll drag you down." Society's gaze was no kinder. In progressive San Francisco, we'd assumed acceptance, but Jordan's high-profile status invited scrutiny. Tabloids speculated about his secret life, fueling homophobic trolls online who accused him of using his influence to corrupt young talents like me. At work, whispers turned to outright hostility when our relationship leaked. "Sleeping your way to the top?" a colleague sneered during a team meeting. Jordan's response was swift. He promoted me based on merit, but that only ignited more rumors of favoritism. The board questioned his judgment, hinting that his personal life could tarnish the company's image. Investors pulled back, citing instability. Yet, behind closed doors, Jordan was my sanctuary. After a grueling day of negotiations where he dismantled a competitor's pitch, he'd come home to our loft overlooking the bay, shed his suit like armor, and cook my favorite pasta. "Tell me about your day, love," he'd say, his hands gentle as they massaged my shoulders. No demands, no power plays, just us equals in vulnerability. He remembered the little things. Anniversaries of our first coffee, playlists of songs that reminded him of my laugh. When my anxiety spiked from family calls, he'd hold me, whispering assurances that we were building something real. The first major conflict hit when Jordan's company faced a lawsuit from laid-off employees. The media frenzy was brutal, labeling him a heartless capitalist. Protests erupted outside our building, with signs reading, "Blackwell the Butcher." I stood by him, knowing the layoffs were to save the company from collapse after a market crash, but the public didn't care. Friends distanced themselves, saying I was enabling cruelty. "How can you love someone who destroys lives?" My best friend, Mia, asked over brunch. Her words stung, forcing me to question if I was blind to his flaws. One evening, as rain pelted our windows, Jordan broke down. "I never wanted this life, Alex, but I have to protect what's mine. Us." His tears were rare, a glimpse into the boy who'd fought for every scrap. We talked through the night, weighing ethics against survival. I pushed him to implement fairer policies like severance packages and retraining programs. Slowly, he listened, implementing changes that softened his image internally. But externally, the storm raged on. As our wedding approached, the drama escalated. My parents refused to attend, citing religious beliefs clashing with our lifestyle. Jordan's estranged sister, who blamed him for their family's past hardships, sent a scathing letter. "You're fooling that poor boy. Your gentleness is an act." The night before the ceremony, I paced our bedroom, doubts creeping in. Was love enough to bridge these divides? Jordan pulled me close, his touch steady. "We're in this together. Let the world talk." The wedding was intimate, under a canopy of blooming cherry trees in Golden Gate Park. Vows exchanged. Rings slipped on fingers. Mine a simple band etched with "Always Gentle." Guests murmured approvals, but online backlash exploded. Hashtags like Blackwell hypocrite trended, accusing him of performative allyship. Yet, in that moment, as we danced under string lights, I felt unbreakable. But marriage brought new trials. Jordan's work demands intensified with a merger that required tough calls. He fired a VP for embezzlement, a decision that saved jobs but earned him enemies. The man, bitter, outed private details of our life in revenge, sparking debates on privacy and power in LGBTQ+ circles. Advocacy groups split. Some praised Jordan for visibility, others criticized his corporate greed as antithetical to community values. At home, our bond deepened. Jordan surprised me with weekend getaways to Napa, where we'd hike and talk dreams. Adopting kids, starting a foundation for queer youth from tough backgrounds. His gentleness shone in quiet acts. Reading poetry aloud, tending our garden. But the external pressures mounted, testing if our love could withstand the world's cruelty. The merger with Teknova was supposed to be Jordan's crowning achievement, a move that would solidify Blackwell Innovations as a leader in ethical AI. Instead, it became a powder keg of controversy, igniting debates that spilled into our personal life. Protesters camped outside our offices, chanting slogans about exploitation, while inside, employees whispered about Jordan's iron fist. I watched him navigate it all with calculated precision, but at night, he'd collapse into my arms, exhausted from the facade. One afternoon, during a heated board meeting I attended as his advisor, a director challenged him openly. "Your marriage is a distraction, Jordan. Investors are nervous about the optics. Two men at the helm in this climate." The room fell silent. Jordan's jaw tightened, but his response was measured. "My personal life fuels my drive for better tech. If that's a problem, find another CEO." Later, alone in his office, he vented. "They see us as a liability, Alex. How do we fight that?" The societal clashes grew fiercer. In America's polarized landscape, our union became a flashpoint. Conservative media outlets decried it as the decay of traditional values, while even progressive voices questioned if Jordan's wealth excused his cutthroat tactics. A viral op-ed titled, "The Gay CEO's Dilemma: Power versus Pride," dissected our relationship, claiming I was complicit in his cruelty. Comments flooded in. "Alex deserves better than a monster in disguise." It hurt, but Jordan's response was to donate to LGBTQ+ causes, quietly funding scholarships for underrepresented coders. Family tensions boiled over during a rare visit from my parents. They'd flown in for Thanksgiving, a tentative olive branch after months of silence. Dinner started cordially, with Jordan charming them over turkey and stories of his humble beginnings. But when talk turned to his recent layoffs, necessary to integrate Teknova, my father erupted. "You call that kindness? Throwing people out like trash?" Jordan stayed calm, explaining the rehire programs he'd instituted, but my mother interjected. "And your marriage is against God's plan. How can we celebrate this?" I defended us fiercely. "Love isn't cruelty, Dad. Jordan's the gentlest person I know." The argument escalated, ending with my parents leaving early, vowing to pray for our souls. That night, Jordan held me as I sobbed. "We'll prove them wrong," he whispered. His touch, always soft, reminded me why I chose him. We spent the weekend rebuilding, volunteering at a queer shelter, where Jordan's interactions with kids revealed his true nature: patient, encouraging. But the merger's fallout introduced a new antagonist: Elena Vasquez, a former Technova executive who'd lost her job in the restructure. Bitter and vocal, she launched a social media campaign accusing Jordan of discrimination, claiming he'd targeted her for being a Latina woman. The allegations went viral, sparking Me Too-style discussions intertwined with homophobia. "Gay men in power are just as patriarchal," one tweet read. Jordan's team investigated, proving the firing was for performance issues, but the damage was done. Stock prices dipped, and anonymous threats arrived at our door. Amid the chaos, our relationship faced its first real test. I started questioning Jordan's decisions, pushing for more transparency. "You don't have to be the villain they paint you as," I said during a late-night argument. He snapped back, rare anger flashing. "I'm protecting us. If I go soft, we lose everything." The words hung heavy, echoing societal expectations of masculinity, even in our community. We slept apart that night, the distance a chasm. Reconciliation came slowly. Jordan surprised me with therapy sessions, admitting his foster care trauma made vulnerability hard. "I learned to be tough to survive, but with you, I want to be better." We delved into couples counseling, unpacking how external judgments amplified our insecurities. It strengthened us, but the world didn't pause. Elena escalated by suing the company, dragging our personal life into court documents. Paparazzi hounded us, capturing tense moments that fueled more rumors. Friends became divided. Mia, once supportive, distanced herself after reading the op-eds. "I love you, Alex, but is he worth this?" Others rallied, like our neighbor Tom, a fellow gay man who'd faced similar scrutiny. "Society loves to tear down successful queers," he said over coffee. "Don't let them win." His words bolstered me, but the isolation grew. A turning point came at a tech conference in New York. Jordan was keynote speaker, addressing AI ethics. Protesters disrupted, shouting accusations. On stage, he paused, then spoke from the heart. "I've made tough calls, but they're to build a fairer future. And personally, my husband Alex teaches me gentleness every day." The crowd was split boos and applause. Backstage, I kissed him. That was brave. For the first time, he let the world glimpse his softness. But bravery invited backlash. Online forums debated. Was Jordan's speech genuine or PR spin? Conservative groups boycotted our products, while allies praised the visibility. At home, we celebrated small victories, like adopting a rescue dog named Max, whose playful energy lightened our days. Jordan's gentleness shone as he trained Max patiently, a metaphor for our evolving bond. As winter set in, the lawsuit loomed, promising more drama. Elena's team dug into Jordan's past, uncovering sealed records from his youth, petty crimes born of desperation. The revelations painted him as inherently cruel, ignoring context. I stood by him, testifying to his character, but doubts crept in. Could love truly redeem someone society's deemed irredeemable? The courtroom in downtown San Francisco buzzed with tension as Elena's lawsuit unfolded, a spectacle that drew national attention. Reporters crammed the halls, eager for sound bites on the gay tycoon's downfall. Jordan sat stoic beside our lawyers, his hand finding mine under the table, a silent anchor amid the storm. I testified first, recounting his acts of kindness. Anonymous donations to charities, mentoring queer interns. But Elena's attorney twisted it. Convenient generosity from a man who fires without remorse. The trial exposed raw societal fractures. Witnesses from both companies painted Jordan as a dictator, citing emails where he demanded excellence. One former employee tearfully described losing her home post-layoff, igniting debates on corporate responsibility versus LGBTQ+ progress. Progressive outlets sympathized with Elena, framing it as intersectional injustice, while conservative ones gloated over the elite's hypocrisy. Social media exploded with polls. Is Jordan Blackwell a hero or a villain? At home, the strain showed. Jordan paced endlessly, second-guessing past decisions. Maybe they're right, I am cruel. I pulled him into an embrace. No, you're human. We've built something good. His response was a tender kiss, but worry lines etched deeper. We found solace in routine. Cooking together, watching sunsets over the bridge. Max, our dog, became our comic relief, his antics pulling laughs from exhaustion. Mid-trial, a bombshell dropped. Leaked audio from a board meeting where Jordan harshly criticized Elena's work. Edited snippets went viral, out of context, fueling outrage. Protests swelled, with signs reading, "No pride in profit." Our loft became a fortress. We installed security after vandalism. Friends like Tom checked in, but many ghosted, fearing association. Isolation bred intimacy. Jordan opened up about his fears of abandonment, roots in foster care. "You're the only one who sees me," he confessed. I pushed for settlement, but Jordan refused, insisting on truth. "If I cave, it admits guilt." His stubbornness sparked our biggest fight. "This isn't just about you. It's us," I yelled. He stormed out, returning hours later with flowers and apologies. "I can't lose you." Makeup was sweet, reaffirming our commitment, but the world intruded. My parents called, urging divorce. "See? He's trouble." I hung up, defiant. The trial's climax came with Jordan's testimony. Under cross-examination, he admitted flaws. "I've been tough because life taught me to be, but my husband shows me another way." The jury seemed moved, but Elena's closing argued systemic bias. Verdict day loomed like a guillotine. We spent the eve walking Ocean Beach, hands linked. "No matter what, we're solid," Jordan said, his voice gentle. The jury ruled in our favor, wrongful termination dismissed, but damages for emotional distress awarded minimally. Victory was Pyrrhic, reputation tarnished. Post-trial, Jordan announced reforms. Profit sharing, diversity initiatives. Media shifted slightly, some hailing him a reformed leader. But scars remained. Elena appealed, vowing to expose more. In the aftermath, our relationship evolved. We traveled to Hawaii for respite, where Jordan's gentleness bloomed unchecked. Beach walks, heartfelt talks. Back home, we hosted a fundraiser for displaced workers, bridging divides. Yet, whispers persisted. "He's changed," or just saving face. A new conflict arose when Jordan's sister, Rebecca, resurfaced after years. Addicted and broke, she demanded money, accusing him of abandoning her. "You were always the cruel one," she spat during a confrontation at our door. Jordan, torn, helped her into rehab, but it drained him emotionally. I supported, but resented the intrusion. "Family's complicated," he sighed. Society's gaze intensified with a documentary pitch. The Blackwell marriage? Love or facade? We declined, but it aired anyway, interviewing critics and allies. Viewers debated online. Gay icons or corporate shills? The controversy boosted our visibility, attracting supporters who shared stories of hidden gentleness in tough exteriors. As spring arrived, we considered adoption, dreaming of a family. But hurdles loomed. Agencies wary of Jordan's image. "They see the monster, not the man," he lamented. We fought through applications, his determination fierce yet tender. One evening, cradling Max, he said, "I want to give a kid what I never had, unconditional love." Tensions peaked at a pride parade. Jordan sponsored a float, but protesters disrupted, chanting against queer capitalism. A thrown object grazed him. Chaos ensued. In the stitches in his brow, he joked weakly, "Battle scars for love." My heart ached, realizing the cost of our visibility. Healing brought clarity. Jordan scaled back at work, delegating to focus on us. We volunteered more, mentoring queer youth. His gentleness inspired change. Employees noted a softer boss. But doubts lingered. Had society forced his evolution, or was it genuine? With the appeal looming, our life settled into a fragile rhythm, punctuated by legal briefings and public scrutiny. Jordan threw himself into philanthropy, founding a foundation for LGBTQ+ entrepreneurs from marginalized backgrounds. "This is my redemption," he told me during a gala launch, his hand warm in mine. Attendees applauded, but skeptics murmured, "Too little, too late." The event sparked debates on performative allyship, with articles questioning if wealth absolved past sins. Personally, Rebecca's recovery tested us. She moved in temporarily post-rehab, her presence a minefield. "You left me to rot while you built your empire," she accused one night over dinner. Jordan's face crumpled. I intervened, defending his choices. Tensions flared. Rebecca outed old family secrets, like Jordan's juvenile record, to the press. Tabloids feasted. Blackwell's dark past exposed. Online forums dissected. Can a cruel upbringing excuse cruel actions? Amid the drama, our bond deepened through shared adversity. Jordan's gentleness manifested in caring for Rebecca, cooking her meals, attending therapy with her. "You're better than I ever was," she admitted tearfully before leaving for her own place. The reconciliation healed old wounds, but invited more judgment. "He's buying forgiveness." Work conflicts resurfaced with a whistleblower alleging data privacy breaches at Blackwell Innovations. Investigations cleared Jordan, but the scandal reignited old flames. Protesters returned, clashing with supporters at our gates. A viral video showed Jordan confronting a heckler calmly. "I hear you. Let's talk solutions." Humanized him, trending as gentle giant. Yet, critics cried manipulation. My career flourished. I led an AI ethics division, but favoritism rumors persisted. "Nepotism in the gay elite," one blog sneered. I confronted Jordan. "We need boundaries." He agreed, promoting others fairly. Our discussions grew raw, exposing vulnerabilities, my fear of being seen as weak, his of inadequacy. A pivotal moment came during a family reunion in Texas. My parents, softening after Rebecca's story hit news, invited us. The visit was tense. Relatives whispered about the husbands. Over barbecue, an uncle challenged, "Marriage is man and woman. This is confusing the kids." Jordan responded gently, "Love confuses hate, not kids." Debates ensued, but my mother's hug at goodbye signaled progress. "He's not what I thought," she whispered. Back in San Francisco, adoption progressed. We met agencies, facing biases. High-profile cases like yours attract scrutiny. One rejection stung, citing Jordan's controversial image. Devastated, he withdrew. I coaxed him out with a surprise picnic. "We'll fight for our family," I vowed. His tears, rare and real, cemented our resolve. The appeal trial amplified everything. Elena presented new evidence, emails showing Jordan's harsh directives. Defense countered with context, saving the company from fraud. Witnesses included me, praising his evolution. The judge ruled partially in favor, ordering mediation. Post-verdict, Jordan addressed the press. "I've learned from mistakes. Gentleness wins." Society reacted mixedly. Allies celebrated. Detractors decried leniency. A podcast series, Behind the Blackwell Doors, interviewed us, sparking national conversations on redemption, sexuality, and power. Listeners debated, is gentleness innate or learned? As summer waned, we welcomed a foster child, Liam, a 10-year-old queer kid from a broken home. Jordan's interactions were magic, patient storytelling, teaching code. "You're safe here," he assured. Liam's arrival healed us, but invited scrutiny. Tabloids questioned our fitness. Advocacy groups defended, highlighting our story as inspirational. Conflicts didn't cease. A board coup attempt, fueled by conservatives uneasy with our visibility, threatened Jordan's position. He fought back ethically, winning with employee support. "Your gentleness inspired us," a staffer said. Victory tasted sweet, shared over family dinner with Liam. Yet, doubts persisted. During quiet nights, I'd wonder if the world's pressure forged his softness, or if it was always there. Jordan sensed it. "I choose gentleness for you every day." With Liam in our lives, our home transformed into a haven of laughter and growth, a stark contrast to the ongoing external battles. Jordan's gentleness shone brightest here, helping with homework, bandaging scraped knees, reading bedtime stories with animated voices. "You're the best dads," Liam said one evening, melting our hearts. But fostering brought new controversies. Conservative groups petitioned against non-traditional placements, citing Jordan's past. Social workers investigated, but our stability won out. Professionally, Jordan stepped down as CEO, appointing a diverse successor while consulting. "Time for real change," he announced at a press conference. The move divided opinions. Redemption arc or evasion? Stocks rose, but critics accused cowardice. We focused inward, traveling as a family to national parks, where Jordan's vulnerability emerged, sharing foster stories with Liam, bonding over shared pains. Societal clashes peaked at a national LGBTQ+ summit. Jordan spoke on corporate inclusivity, but protesters interrupted, demanding accountability for past layoffs. Chaos erupted. Security escorted us out amid chants. Online, debates raged. Forgive or forget? Allies defended his evolution. Others decried privilege. At home, the strain manifested. Jordan suffered panic attacks, remnants of trauma. I held him through nights, our roles reversing. "You've taught me strength," he murmured. Therapy continued, unpacking how societal expectations of masculinity clashed with our identities. Liam's presence grounded us, his innocent questions sparking deep talks. Why do people hate love? A final twist came when Elena reached out privately post-mediation. "I see you've changed," she admitted over coffee. They collaborated on a worker rights initiative, turning enmity to alliance. Media hailed it as reconciliation, but skeptics questioned motives. True gentleness or strategy? Forums buzzed. As years blurred, our story became legend. Books, TED Talks dissecting the Blackwell paradox. We adopted Liam fully, expanding our family with a daughter, Sophia. Jordan's foundation thrived, aiding thousands. Gentleness defined him publicly now, but I knew it was always private truth. Reflecting on our journey, from whispers to triumphs, I marveled at love's power. Yet, questions lingered in society's mirror. Is it possible for someone labeled cruel by the world to truly embody gentleness? Or is it always just a selective facade?